A very good morning to all the students. This video for the class 7th subject science chapter number 9, that is soil. This is your lecture number 2nd. So the topics to be covered are, so in this video lecture we are going to cover these topics. So the first topic is soil profile, second topic is types of soil, and third topic is, that is, we are going to cover some activity 9.3, activity 9.4, 9.5 and activity 9.6. Fourth topic is the properties of the soil. Fifth one is soil and the crops. Sixth topic is what is soil erosion. So let's start today's lecture with the first topic, that is soil profile. Here the soil consists of distinct layers which are also called as horizons of the soil. So the soil profile is vertically section of the soil which depicts all the layer of the soil. The layer of the soil can be seen if we dig the deep through it, like while creating a well or while laying the foundation of a building. A vertical section of a well-developed soil shows the presence of the distinct layer called as horizon. Okay. Next, the sequence of the horizon from the surface downward or vertical layer structure of soil called as soil profile. Okay. In soil, humus, the decaying matter in the soil, is called as humus. From the topmost layer, soil has the dead rotting leaves and animal remains and the grasses floating on the water, that is humus. Second is weathering. What is weathering? Soil is formed when rocks break down, so this process is called as weathering. The weathering of rocks takes place because of the rain, flowing water, winds, temperature and the climatic condition of that particular place. Next is parent rock. The nature of the soil, that is its texture and the availability of minerals, depend upon the rock from which it is formed. So this rock is often called as parent rock. In parent rock, it depends on the nature of the soil, that is its texture and the availability of minerals. Okay. Next is about the different distinct layer of the soil. So horizon in a soil profile. Generally there are the 4 layers called horizon in a soil. So the first horizon is horizon A. This layer is also known as the topsoil. It is visible to us, or we can say that the uppermost horizon or the first layer of soil called as topsoil. Next, it contains large amounts of humus, that is organic material, and minerals which makes it darker in color. Okay, it is dark in color and rich in humus and minerals because it contains roots of the plant and partially decomposed organic matter. Next is the topsoil is a home to many living organisms as well, like insects, worms, beetles, rodents and moles. So the many type of organisms like worms, bugs, beetles, moles, rats live in this layer. Okay. It is generally a soft porous layer that can retain more water than other layer, and it is fertile part of soil also due to the presence of humus. Okay. Next is, this is the picture of soil profile. So the first layer, as you can see here, is a horizon. The second is B horizon. The third layer is C horizon, and at last the last layer is R horizon, or we can say that the bedrock. Next is the B horizon or the middle layer. It is present below the A horizon, So it is called as the subsoil. It is next layer of the soil which does not contain much humus as compared to the horizon A. It is also called as the middle layer and is generally more compact and harder. The minerals are found in large quantities in this layer. There are the several minerals are found in this middle layer. This layer has a hard texture, light in color, and is more compact than the topsoil, than the horizon A. Next is the horizon C, or the third layer. It is the third layer present below the B horizon. This is the first point. The third layer of the soil consists of the small rocks with cracks in them, and these rocks are partially weathered, okay, partially braked. So this layer is very hard comparatively these two layers, okay, and it is made up of the small pieces of rock materials with cracks. Okay, moving on the last layer, that is bedrock. So it is present below the sea horizon of the layer. Okay, the last layer of the soil is called as bedrock. It contains large pieces of the rocks that are not weathered or exposed to any winds or water. Bedrock cannot be dug with the help of any spade. It is very hard in texture. We cannot dug it with the help of any type of a tool because it is very hard in their texture, and it is this rock that makes the soil over a very long period of time. So this is about the bedrock. Moving on the next topic, that is types of soil. So we know that soil is formed from the weathering of the parent rock, and the texture of the soil depend upon the parent rocks. This process takes time, maybe 100 years, and then the fine soil is formed. So soil is formed by the weathering of rocks. Weathering means breaking down or dissolving of rock and mineral into the smaller particles due to the wind, water, or we can say acid, salts, plants, animals, and change in the temperature. Okay, so depending on the proportion of these particles in the soil, soils are of different types. So the first is sandy soil. Sandy soil has a big particles that have the larger spaces between them. Means sandy soil have the larger air spaces or larger pores in between them. The spaces or the pores between these particles are filled with the air. So we can say that sandy soil are called as well aerated soils. Because of large pores, water can easily penetrate through the particles of the sand in the sandy soil. So the sandy soils, however, cannot hold the water. First is mainly this is the loose and coarse and the porous soil. Okay, it contains lots of air. The particle size is big, and it allows rapid percolation of the water. So it allows rapid percolation of water. Here water can easily penetrate through the particles of the sand. Next is sandy soil are light aerated and dry in the nature. So sandy soil lack much nutrients, hence they do not support the diverse growth of the plants. Means they are not suitable for most plants as it cannot retain much water. Okay. Next is the loamy soil. Loamy soil contains a similar amount of large and small particles in them. They are combination of sandy, clayey and silt soil. They are the good proportion of the sand, silt and the clay. They also contain humus. Humus make the soil better. Okay. When added to its sandy soil, it increases the water holding capacity, and when it added to the clay soil, it increases the air spaces. So in loamy soil, it's fairly smooth and gritty soil and has a good amount of water, and their particle size is average. They can hold water in appropriate amounts and therefore supports the growth of the plants. They can hold good amount of water. They are also called agricultural soils because of their fertility and appropriate texture. Next is they contain good amounts of calcium and have a high pH level. So loamy soil is best soil for the plants as it contains good amount of water and air. Next is about the clay soil. It consists of the fine particles which have less space between them. Since there is not much space, there is not much pores between the particles of soil, so the clay soils are not well aerated like a sandy soil. Okay, this soil is compact and heavy soil. Not much air is present. Their particle size is very small, and the tiny gaps between the particles although allow absorption of water in the clay soil easily. There are the several tiny gaps between these particles of the soil, so they can easily allow the absorption of water in the clay soil. Next is they are able to hold water, hence they are suitable for the growth of different kinds of plants. So this clay soil is not so much suitable for most of the plants. Next is about the silt soil. The silt soil particles are smaller than that of the sandy soil but larger than the clay soils. Okay, particles are the smaller than the sandy soil and not visible to the eyes, so the particles of the silt soil have the less space in between them. Silt soil can hold the water to some extent because of this fine quality. They are generally found near the water bodies like river banks and lakes. They are rich in nutrients, highly fertile, and hence are suitable for agriculture purpose. They are often mixed with the other soils to improve the fertility of the soil. So first is the particle size are smaller than the sandy soil. The particles have the less space in between them. This silt contains much less air than the sandy soil, and it can retain water better, water retention capacity. Okay, and silt is present as deposit in the river beds and in the lakes. Next is about the picture of the different type of soil. So the first soil is the sandy soil. Next is the silt soil. This one is clay soil, and this one is loamy soil. Moving on the next topic, that is activity 9.3. So the aim of this activity is to study the different types of soil. The procedure is, first you have to collect the sample of sandy soil, clay soil and loamy soil. Then remove the visible structures like the pebbles, small stones and the leaves. Add just enough water that can get soaked into the soil, and soil can be molded into a ball. Now try to roll this ball to change its shape lengthwise to a cylinder and then into a ring shape. Then Repeat the above process with all the sample and observe as to what extent can you mold different type of soil. Okay. And the question that is in activity 9.3 is, can you suggest which type of soil would be the best for making pots, toy and statues? Here you can see that for this activity you have to collect the sample of sandy, clayey and loamy soil. Okay, and then add just enough water that can soak into the soil, and soil can be molded into any form, into a ball form, into a ring form, into a lengthwise form. Okay, then repeat the above process with all the soil sample and observe as to what extent can you mold the different type of soil. Okay, and then can you suggest which type of soil would be best for making the pots, toys and statues. Moving on the next activity, that is activity 9.4. So the aim of this activity is to study the rate of the percolation rate in the different soil. So the procedure is, first you have to take the soil, dig the soil about 2 cm or an inch in depth in a garden and place a PVC pipe in the soil. Next, pour 200 ml of water into the pipe and note the time water will percolate down into the soil. When no water is left in the PVC pipe, note the time again, and the difference between the two readings gives the time taken by the 200 ml of water to percolate down. The percolation rate can be calculated by the following formula. Percolation rate is equal to the amount of water divided by the percolation time. So, the question that is arising here in this activity is, repeat the same activity with all the type of soil and calculate the percolation rate of a different soil. So, this is the picture of this activity. Here, for example, to calculate the percolation rate, firstly, you have to take the amount of water. The amount of water taken is equal to, for example, the amount of water is equal to 200 ml. Okay, and the percolation time is approx, you can take 10 minutes. So the percolation rate is 200 ml, that is amount of water, and the percolation time is 10 minutes. So 200 divided by 10 is equal to 20 milliliter per minute. That is your percolation rate. Okay. Moving on the next activity, activity 9.5. The aim of this activity is to study that soil contains moisture. Procedure is, take about the 50 gram of soil in a tube and heat it. You will observe that after some times the water droplets get formed on the inner side of the tube. After heating for about the 10 minutes, let the soil cools down and then weigh it again. You will observe the difference in the weight of the soil, and the difference in weight represent the amount of moisture in the soil. Here you can see the example, for example, how we can calculate the moisture in the soil. Firstly, take the initial weight of the soil, that is 50 gram, for example. Then weigh the soil after heating, that is 40 gram. And the weight of the water in soil is, initial weight is 50, that is, and the final after heating is 40. So 50 minus 40 is equal to 10 gram. So this 10 gram represent the amount of moisture in the soil. Okay. Moving on the next activity, activity 9.6. So the aim of this activity is amount of water absorbed by the different soil. How much water absorbed by the different type of soils. So the procedure is, take the 50 gram of the dry soil into the funnel and add 30 ml of water in a measuring cylinder. Then with the help of the dropper, pour the water gently over the soil drop by drop till water start dripping from the funnel. After that, stop pouring water and note the amount of water which is left in the measuring cylinder. Next is the difference from the first reading, and this reading gives the amount of water absorbed by the soil. For example, the amount of soil is 50 gram that you will take. Okay, the initial amount of water taken is equal to 30 milliliter. Then the water left in the measuring cylinder is equal to 20 ml. So the water absorbed by the soil is the difference from the first reading, and the reading gives the amount of water absorbed by the soil. So first initial amount of water is 30 ml and the water left in the measuring cylinder is 20 ml. So 30 minus 20 is equal to 10 ml. That is the water absorbed by the soil. After that, we have to calculate the percent of the water absorbed by the soil. So the first is the water absorbed by the soil is 10 ml and the amount of soil is 15 gram. So we have to calculate the percentage here. So 10 divided by 15 multiplied by the 100 is equal to 20%. That is the water absorbed by the soil. This is the picture of this activity. Firstly, you have to take the 50 gram of the dry soil into the funnel and add the 30 ml of the water into this measuring cylinder. Then with the help of this dropper, pour the water gently over the soil drop by drop till water start dripping from the funnel. Then stop pouring the water and note down the amount of water left in measuring cylinder. Okay, and the difference from the first reading and the last reading gives the amount of water absorbed by the soil, that is 20%. Okay, so you have to repeat this activity with different type of soil. Moving on the another topic, that is properties of the soil. So the first property of the soil is the percolation of water through the soil. The percolation can be defined as the property of the soil by which it allows the flow of water through it. The rate at which water percolates or moves through the soil may vary in different kind of soil. So the some soil absorb water while other allows it to flow through them. So simply, the percolation of water in soil means the movement of water through the gaps in the soil. Okay, and the rate of percolation can be calculated by this formula. The percolation rate is equal to amount of water that is present in milliliter divided by the percolation time in minutes. This is the formula to finding out the rate of percolation rate. Next property of the soil is moisture. Moisture is the amount of water that is present in the soil. Even a dry soil has some amount of moisture in the air. So the clayey soil has the highest content of moisture. So for example, if we touch the soil of garden or a field, we can feel that the soil is wet. It is because the soil contains the moisture. So the moisture or the fine droplet of water remain trapped in the spaces present between the soil particles. Okay. Next property is absorption. The soil absorbed water. Every soil has the water absorption capacity, which depends upon how the porous the soil is. Clayey and the loamy soil are the most porous, hence they can retain the water in large quantities. That is why crops can grow over these soil. Okay, so the sandy soil on the other hand do not absorb water, so it do not support much vegetation. Okay, for example, if we pour half of a glass of water into the soil, it gets absorbed because soil has the pores in between the particles. So the capacity to absorb the water different in the various soil. Okay. Moving on the next property, that is the pH of the soil. Soil can have the different pH depending upon their acidic, basic or neutral nature. So based upon the pH, different type of crops grown in the soil. Next is air content, or soil contains air. Since soil is made up of the particle of the different sizes, these particles can be loosely bound or it can be tightly bound. So the air often occupies the space in between these particles. So this allows life to sustain in the soil, such as microorganisms. Soil contain air in the spaces present in between the soil particles. Larger spaces in the soil trap more air. So here the sandy soil contains more air, while the clay soil contains very less air. Okay. Next is soil and crops. They are the different type of soil in different parts of India. Okay. So various climate factors like the wind, rainfall and humidity, light, temperature, they affect the soil profile and bring change in the soil structure. So the different on the type of soil present, different type of crops are grown. So different kind of soils are found in different regions because of the following factor that decides the soil structure of that particular place. So the first factor is temperature, second is humidity of that place, third one is rainfall, fourth one is sunlight, fifth one is winds, and the type of crops that will grow in the soil depend upon these factors, okay, as well as the property of the soil. Next is the type of soil and the crop grown in the different type of soil. So the first is the sandy soil. Here the potato, lettuce, corn, peppers, these are the crops grown in the sandy soil. Next is the clayey soil, the sprouts, broccoli, kale, beans and the cabbage. In loamy soil, the crops grown in the loamy soils are apple, carrots, tomatoes and cucumber. Next is the topic is soil erosion. When the top layer of the soil gets removed, it is called as soil erosion. Here, the soil erosion mainly occurs when the soil is left loose without vegetation or when the deforestation occurs. Here, the deforestation is cutting of the forest areas and converted into the non-forest use. In such a situation, strong winds and the flowing water or the rainwater takes away the topsoil and therefore it decreases its quality. Also, this kills the organism living inside the soil. And the roots of the plants and the tree keep the soil together and allow several microorganisms to grow and survive there. So therefore, it is always advised to plant more trees and avoid the deforestation. First is soil erosion, means the removal of the topsoil. It may occur due to the natural cause or by the human activities. Okay, the soil erosion takes place in the region where the plant cover like the forest, and this forest have been removed is deforestation. The soil erosion also reduces the fertility of the soil because as the nutrients rich top layer get washed away. So the soil erosion can be prevented by stopping the cutting down of the trees and retaining the forest areas and by planting the more trees. Overgrazing by animals should be discouraged. As you all know about that, the soil erosion is means the removal of the topsoil. So soil erosion are the two types caused by the natural cause and the human activity. The natural cause are the flood, heavy rains, winds, dust, storms. So these are the natural causes, and the human activity causes the cutting of the tree, that is deforestation, overgrazing, poor farming method or the burning of forests. That is the cause of the human activities. Next is the homework solution of the lecture number 1. So the first question is, what is the function of the soil? So the first function of the soil is, soil provides the anchorage to the plants. It holds roots of the plant firmly. Second is, it is the source of the water and the mineral nutrient for the plants. Third one is, it is home for many organisms like ants, beetles, bugs, earthworm, bacteria and fungi. Bacteria and fungi decomposes the dead and decaying matter in the soil and help in recycling of the nutrient in nature. So this is the function of soil. And last is the soil is important for the agriculture, and the agriculture gives us food, clothing and material for the shelter. Next is the how we pollute the soil. First one is the dumping the non-biodegradable substances such as the plastic bags, polythene causes the soil pollution. Second is waste products from the industries which contain chemicals can affect the soil adversely. Third factor is excess use of fertilizers and the pesticides, chemicals, it pollutes the soil and decreases fertility. Fourth one is therefore before dumping anything waste into the soil, it must be treated properly. Pesticide and fertilizers should be used in the minimum quantity. Lastly, the material like the plastic should be banned. We pollute the soil and affect the living organism as well. So these are the some factors that pollute the soil. Next is the homework of today's lecture, homework of lecture number 2nd. So the first question is what is soil profile? Second is what is meant by soil erosion? Third one is what are the properties of the soil? Fourth is write the observation of the activity number 9.3, 9.4, 9.5 and 9.6. So this is it about this today's lecture. Hope you have understood this lecture. Thank you and have a nice day.